Hi, I'm Richard Dixon. I'm Director of WWF Scotland.
I'm Mike Small. I'm the Director of the Fife Diet.
Hi, I'm Kate Pearson. I'm the Trusts Manager at People's Postcode Lottery.
Hi, my name's Fergus Walker from the Fife Diet. I'm in charge of the seed truck project.
Hello, I'm Ron Gilchrist and I'm part of the seed truck team.
Hi, my name is Elspeth Killen. I'm a medical herbalist.
We want to start a food revolution.
The Fife Diet's a consumer network of people who are committed to changing the food system as it stands. We are about acting collectively and collaboratively to be part of a restorative practice to make the transition to a low carbon food culture and one that can be sustainable in the long run. So the Fife Diet starts from the understanding that there's something fundamentally wrong with the food system. But it also starts from the understanding that there is something that we can do about that if we act collectively. One of the things that's driven the project from the very beginning is the realisation that we've staggered into a crisis situation in terms of climate change. And as a society, we don't really know how to respond to this. So the main driver behind the whole project is the transition to a low carbon economy, and that's what this is really about. But that does have other spin-off effects. So if you eat locally, you support local producers, you create a more resilient local economy. If you eat locally, you can create access to fresh, unprocessed food. So that begins to engage the sort of health problems that we have around our current diet. So it very quickly blossoms from being a climate change project to being a project about societal change.
So we want communities around Scotland to roll up their sleeves, pick up a spade and start growing their own food. Seed trucks going round Scotland, so an event somewhere near you. There are going to be workshops about how to get started. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be a yoghurt pot on your windowsill, it could be a whole community allotment. But the seed truck will help you get started, help you make that contribution to reducing your environmental impact and eating a healthy diet that you've grown yourself.
The slogan of the seed truck is sowing the seeds of a better food system. We're delivering practical workshops on how to produce your own food, from making the best compost and soil, through to sowing and growing your own veg, to harvesting the vegetables that you grew, and also picking wild food that you can get for free, and then through to preparation and processing that food, especially by bicycle power, which is good fun, and then finally cooking and eating. The whole seed truck itself is powered by recycled chip fat oil. So as we go around sowing the seeds of a better food system, we're using the waste from the current food system.
We're so excited to fund the Seed Truck project. It really stood out for us in the applications that we received because it's so innovative and it's taking a message of sustainable eating out into the rest of Scotland. Fife Diet have just done an amazing job already since they started. They've achieved massive results in the Fife area. They've really engaged local people in sustainable eating and growing their own food and sourcing their own food locally. And joining together with an institution like WWF has just enabled them to take that message out into the rest of Scotland. And for us, that's really exciting. But from a point of view of the People's Postcode Lottery, we want our players to be able to benefit from the income that they give to good causes around Scotland. So for us it's really great that we know the seed truck will be going out into communities where our players actually live, and they'll be able to have this long-term benefit of whether it's learning about food foraging or having a raised bed built in their local school or local community. They'll be able to actually benefit from that legacy. And also the project tackles things like food poverty and as well as climate change. And at this time and in this environment we're all struggling to pay our food bills, and I think it's a really important lesson for us all that we can actually source our own food locally, and it's just wonderful that the team at WWF and Fife Diet are able to take that message out.
I think the best way to explain about the seed truck workshops that we offer is to look at our food cycle, which is something we've developed to show how the way that food is produced, everything is interconnected. So we start off with the principle of waste equals food, and so you start with the soil and compost.
I'm an ecologist with a farming background, and for the last 20 years I've been specialising in the recycling of organic waste to form compost and worm cast to generate excellent soils. I decided to join the project because I'm aware that the food that we eat is not as nutritious as it could be, and so I'm really passionate about local food, fresh food, nutritious food, and how people can grow it within their own community. In the production of food, the first step is getting the soil right, and that's what we do in our workshop, producing fertile soil through composting and worm cast production. Obviously the health of a plant depends on the healthiness of the soil, just how fertile the soil is, and we're aware that in many continents the quality of the soil has been damaged by the use of chemicals, so we need to get back to looking at soil. What is the perfect soil? Soils that are deprived of humus don't hold moisture. It's the humus content within the soil that's where the soil microbes live, and the soil microbes are responsible for the uptake of nutrients by the roots of the plants. So unless the soil composition is right, the plants can't take up the nutrients, the plants aren't healthy, and that's why often pesticides need to be used. So in all the continents, the way we produce our food is actually dependent on fossil fuel and fossil fuel derivatives. And the cost of fossil fuel, of course, is going up year by year. It's believed that in the next 20 years the cost of food is likely to double. So what's the alternative? And all we have to do is look at the forest and think, why is the forest so fertile year on year without any human intervention? And of course we can recognise there that all the organic matter that falls to the floor is recycled by the soil organisms, in particular the worms. So all we have to do is to copy nature. One of the problems in the food that we're eating is it lacks essential trace elements. So somehow we need to get the trace elements back into the food chain, which seems a daunting task. But if we just think about nature, the trace elements come down with glaciation. We find that the rock which is richest in trace element is basalt, and if we simply sprinkle basalt rock dust on the surface of the soil, if we add it to our compost and if we add it to our wormeries, we can totally remineralise the food chain, so that we know that the food that we're eating is not only extremely tasty but is nutritious. It contains all the trace elements we need for the health of our family and the health of our community.
And then you move on to, once you have your soil, you can sow seeds and grow your own vegetables, whether that's on the windowsill or in the back garden or in a community garden. And our main facility there is mostly Elspeth Cullen.
I trained as a medical herbalist with the Scottish School of Herbal Medicine, Glasgow, and I consider myself very fortunate. I work with lots of community groups, people of different abilities and ages, and as I say, I work primarily with wildlife garden, herb gardens, plants, plant oils, preparations, wild food walks, wild herb walks. The seed truck operates on a sort of cycle of different workshops fitting together, and the areas I fit into are originally the harvest area, where, for example, I do the wild herb walks, try and encourage people to use things that are about, that are wild and free, or also naturalised herbs as well. I'm also involved in the sowing and growing, where we hand out seeds to encourage people to grow their own. And the whole idea is to be part of the whole cycle, not to have anybody else doing it for you. So you can actually, I was reading a book the other day, then a lovely quote about how we can enjoy. Why should other people get the enjoyment of being out with the plants and enjoying getting to know them and use them? So instead of just picking some off the shelf, we can be part of the whole process. So we hope to run more workshops towards the kitchen remedies and the herbal preparations and the sort of food as medicine type thing as well. The use of herbs, both culinary and medicinal. Obviously, herbs are used as food, but as part of them being used as food is the fact that they are very good for the digestive system. A lot of the original uses of herbs were to cut down a huge amount of fat in the diet, so they actually help the digestion. A lot of the aromatic plants, which are not necessarily native here, but they're naturalised, can be used, grown in the garden, the rosemaries, the sages, things like that. The medicinal use of plants, as a medical herbalist, we are licensed to use plants as medicine, but you can use, there are simple home remedies, as I say, obviously the digestive remedies, but sage can be used for a sore throat, as a gargle. Thyme is used with the cold. There's just so many different things that we have available to us. Elderberries, if you want something that's wild. Rosehip, which is, I don't know the percentage now, but at one time had 40% more vitamin C than an orange. And these are things you can get wild, so the rosehip syrups, the elderberry robs, elderflowers, things like that. Just a note to say that, speaking as a medical herbalist, if anyone has any conditions, medical conditions, they should make sure they see a qualified herbalist or other practitioner, and there are certain conditions in which you should be careful of treating yourself.